Hello Year 6, welcome to your first Nottingham Free School Weekly Bulletin. My name is Miss Wilson and I am the head of Year 7 at Nottingham Free School, and every week I'm going to be sending you a weekly bulletin up until the summer so that you can get a little bit more information about Nottingham Free School before you join us in September. In each weekly bulletin I'm going to go through a few members of staff. I'm also going to talk about a subject each week. So this week's subject is going to be all about the lessons that you will be taking at Nottingham Free School. I'm going to talk a little bit about reading, and also I'm going to be setting you a weekly challenge. Now, at the moment we're in a very strange time, and I'm hoping that these weekly bulletins will help you to get a little bit more information about Nottingham Free School before you join us in September. So I'm going to start this week's bulletin by introducing myself so that you can get to know me a little bit better. So, as I said earlier, my name is Miss Wilson and I am the head of Year 7 at Nottingham Free School. That means that when you come up to Nottingham Free School in September, I will be your head of year. And my job is to make sure that you are enjoying school, that you are getting on with all your work at school, and if you have any issues or problems, you come and speak to me and I'll hopefully be able to help you with that. A little bit of information about me. I actually am from Sheffield, and I've tried to show you on the map. Sheffield's not actually that far away from Nottingham, but I moved to Nottingham a few years ago and that's why I now work here. I am the music teacher at Nottingham Free School, so you guys will see me once a week. And my instruments that I play the drums, and I also play saxophone. I also play a few other instruments as well, but they are my main two instruments. Recently I've been getting a lot back into reading, and I'm trying to read at least 12 books this year, one for every month, and I'm currently on book number 8, so I'd say I'm doing pretty well on that task. And also I've recently been getting into baking, doing a lot of baking each week to kind of pass the time. So that is a little bit of information about me, and I'm now going to introduce you to some other members of staff at Nottingham Free School that you might see around every day. So each week I'm going to introduce you to some of our members of staff, and this week I want to introduce you to the senior leadership team. So first of all we have Mr. Watts. Mr. Watts is our head of school. Mr. Watts recently joined us in the past couple of weeks, and I'm sure he'll look forward to meeting you all in Year 7 when you join us. Next we have Mrs. Gray, who is another member of the senior leadership team. Mrs. Gray is also a member of the safeguarding team as well. Then we have Miss Britton, Mrs. Farney and Mr. Tomasovic, and they are also members of the senior leadership team as well. Miss Britton is head of English, Mrs. Farney is head of maths, and Mr. Tomasovic looks after Year 10 and Year 11. So there's 5 members of staff there that I want you to kind of recognise their faces when you join us in September, because you will be seeing a lot of them around on a daily basis. Okay, so each week I'm going to give you a little bit of information about a certain area of school life, and this week I've gone for school subjects, so the lessons that you will be taking at Nottingham Free School. So feel free to pause the screen to have a really good read of this, but this is everything that will be covered in your week at school from September. So there might be some subjects on there that you might not know or you might not have done that much of in primary school, but every week you will have these lessons in your timetable. And what's different about primary school to secondary school is that these are all done in different classrooms. So one thing that you need to get used to is being able to move around the building quickly to make sure that you get to your lessons on time. Now that's something that all Year 7 struggle with at first, but don't worry, we will give you a timetable and a map of the school so that you'll be able to find your way around. But these are the lessons that you'll be taking. So like I say, feel free to pause the screen. And if you want any more information about these individual subjects, if you go onto the school website, each subject has their own page, so you can find out what you'll be covering and what you'll be learning during those sessions. This leads me on to reading. Now, at Nottingham Free School, reading is really, really important, and we actually do reading every day. Now we do an activity called DEAR, which stands for Drop Everything and Read. And this takes place in one lesson a day, and it's 15 minutes of us reading a book of your choice. So it could be any book that you can bring in from home, and we ask that you bring a reading book in every single day so that you're able to participate in DEAR. Now I've actually just finished this book called Still Me by Jojo Moyes, and that is my 7th book of my 12 book challenge. So I'm currently figuring out what my 8th book's going to be, but I'd like to hear what you guys have been reading whilst you've been at home, or maybe when you were at school. So there is an email address attached to the bulletin that I would like you to email me and just let me know what you've been reading, because I do find it really interesting to see what people are reading. So I hope that you get involved in DEAR when we are in school. At the start of the bulletin, I said that I would be setting a weekly challenge. Now, the weekly challenges will be based around things that I think you need to know before you join our school in September. So this week's weekly challenge is how quickly can you tie a tie? Now, a tie is part of our school uniform, and you may already know how to do this, in case that's great. But some of you may never have tied a tie before and might have not had it as part of your school uniform. So I'd like you to learn how to be able to tie a tie before September. So there's some steps on the screen that you can use to help you and guide you and learn how to tie a tie. But once you know how to do this, the challenge is how quickly can you do this. So you'll need something to time yourself with, and obviously you'll need a tie. If you don't have a tie, you might be able to get away with kind of a thin scarf, just so that you can kind of do the same process with it. But if you do complete the challenge, I would like to see a photo of your attempt, and also to know how fast it took you to do your tie. So there is an email attached to the bulletin that I'd like to see your entries with. If you are sending a photo, please, there is some guidelines on the screens. Please be able to read that before you send a photo through to the email address. But I really do look forward to seeing how many of you participate in the challenge and how easy or difficult you found the challenge as well. So this brings me to the end of this week's weekly bulletin. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Like I said, each week I'll be sending out a new bulletin, and every week there'll be a little bit more information about your time at Nottingham Free School. If you have any questions or anything you'd like me to include in the bulletin, then please do let me know, and I will try and answer those questions within the weekly bulletins themselves. In the meantime, guys, please do take care, stay safe, and hopefully we get to see you guys soon. And I look forward to seeing some of you participate in the weekly challenge as well. But in the meantime, I will see you next week for another weekly bulletin. Bye, guys.